Alright, folks, welcome back, everyone. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第517天 Tuesday 517. We picked up another 10 added recall.
写
Let's go.
字
写字. 字 is the weakest character of these two. 字, what happened with the stain? I think of washing, but it's the stain that's being washed into the water thing. So 写字 helps us with the stain part. Oops.
写字则乎
The is the weak one. The is most of the zes are pretty weak. They're usually not any sound carrying thing. In this case, ze is at the saw. It's biting. That's where the mouth is. So the key is biting like a saw, right? And who is to bite? No, not to shout. To shout. So this one's a little bit tough because bluster is not quite the word I'm looking for. It's to make a ruckus or boast loudly. Maybe like a biting shout. Boast loudly. I don't know about bluster. Bluster is not racist word. My lexicon. I'm gonna add something, and it's gonna be like a biteful. Like I'm gonna say something like a no, boast loudly is good. I think both. Bluster is a bit more exotic for me when it comes to this.
则乎
It almost sounds like it's a biting type of shouting, so it's like very catchy, right? Like it's catching your trying to catch attention. So we're gonna what? Boast loudly.
积攒
Done. Done was no wait. Yeah, done was the thing, which is to accumulate. So Ji is also accumulate. So we're just combining them to save bit by bit, or to accumulate. I think to save is fine, but it's to save knowing that it's to save up, like to stock up, not to save as in to save someone. This is just this is a backup. Done is the weak one. Kind of really more so the read in this case.
积攒惊爆
Jing Bao. Jing is the weak one, the collar. And then Bao is a no wait. Yeah, like the lapel, right? And then Bao Bao is it to embrace. This one's a bit of a figurative. So I want to say it's more like your neck, like putting your neck on the line situation, like your neck as in like sacrificing your neck, you know, like placing your ambitions, like you're holding your neck up high situation, or kind of like the idea of being hung by the neck or like ringed by the neck. It's like squeezing out your ambition or squeezing out your essence. So that's kind of what I mean, like to embrace. They're using the embrace your more or less your inner worth or your ambitions. And Jing is unfortunate. I misread the tone. The tone. It's kind of weird that it's kind of hard to think of it as tone 1 at the moment. This one might be tough actually. For the meaning.
惊爆，叩门，
Ko-men, it's just ko. Ko's are nondescript. They're incredibly nondescript. You look at the character and I'm like, well, in the future it's gonna be like, oh, it's a nondescript character. It's probably either a ko or some sort of tse. Like tse or dan or jing, like something that deals with starting with z, and then or ko or n. And this way, this helps with a knocking because it's next to door. So, Koman.
叩门，
Okay.
叩门， 责乎， 写字， 惊爆， 积攒， 器皿，
Qi Ming. For Ming. Ming is the dishes. So qi is often referring to a utensil. So qi Ming, household utensil, is fine. The dishes, household utensil. I wonder if this also. It doesn't. Ming is tough because this character doesn't really have any sound. So we're just adding a vocabulary word. A vocabulary word to give another reason to remember the sound. Evening. We'll see. Questionable.
器皿，勉强，
Nianqiang. Mian is the definition weakness. I think of it as, I thought it was agile because it's hair and power, but it's a stride. Maybe the power of the hair is in a stride, something like that. Maybe in Mickey's stride. And Qiang is strong, so you're basically striving. And I added this because it's benkyo for study, which is to do with difficulty too. Studying, it's I kind of like it. It's easier. It's quite elegant to remember. When you're studying, you're doing something with difficulty. There's a deep cut in here. Studying with ease is not a thing to me. Like, because you must study with difficulty to learn something. If you're doing it with ease, you are less likely to learn something. And not that you're not learning anything. You're less likely to learn well or learn in a critical way without sufficient difficulty. When ease is so great, it becomes boring and superficial. Which is interesting because I was reading the thread to someone's study logs. I still read the forums to catch up. HanziHero doesn't have too much chatter, so whenever there's a new post, it's pretty clear. It's only 1 and 2. And one of the individuals giving their unsolicited advice, or kind of indirectly solicited advice. They said one of the hacks, like one of the hack-like things that they recommend, was to take 30 minutes, take a book, extract all the words into an SRS. Like take like whatever your immersion thing is, like take a clip from YouTube that has audio and whatnot, and then extract it and sentence mine all of it into, or not even sentence mine, just word mine into a SRS, and then just listen to it over and over again to remember it. And they said it's super efficient. It'll explode your vocabulary at the cost of being incredibly boring. That defeats the purpose of studying, or like it's counterintuitive to studying. The whole idea of having a hack, like something that's hacky, to me is something that's not lasting. So calling it a hack at the expense of the concern for burning out or getting boredom, I would argue that would not create study habits. It would be the opposite of studying. It is trying to shortcut your way to doing something very simple, easy, and repetitious. And that doesn't create elegant, complex, sustainable learning. So that person is right. It's going to lead at the cost of incredible boredom. Hence, it's not a hack. In my opinion, there aren't hacks to studying. There are compromises to studying. If you want it to be really easy, one-dimensional, and repetitious based on memory, then you are compromising for boredom, potential burnout, grind, and a non-sustainable habit. That is the cost. So it's not a hack, it's a compromise. And selling things like that is what I have. It's starting to become like a consistent pet peeve of mine, where someone presents it like there's no downside. They like write it off as no downside, like, oh, it's worth establishing a habit of creating grind, boredom, and complacency at the cost of hacking your way to doing a method that requires incredible ease because it's boring. Or ease causes boredom. Not challenging yourself is restricting and sealing your learning capabilities and potential. So to me, if you wanted to make an argument of habit formation, like I understand that there are a lot of people who want to pick up habits, but they don't want to relearn or recondition or change their habits over time. That hack is where the scary nature of bad habits that people don't want to change will occur. So to me, if you do that, then you have established a habit that you later will not be able to break from, and it would become a negative source of negative reinforcement. So it's going to be a source of consistent negative reinforcement. It's not a big deal if a person who wants to try out that hack thinks they are doing it for fun, but they rely on consistency, because the consistent people would typically be like, oh, I'll try it out, but I won't rely on it, so it wouldn't necessarily become a habit. Or if it does become a habit, people who are consistent, they focus on consistency, as in like study habits require consistency. They can change that habit. You can always change it. However, someone who is looking for a hack, they are individuals who are susceptible to bad habits because they don't want to change. That's why it's called a hack. The hack is to make it so that you don't have to do something with difficulty. You're trying to do something that you can already do, which is to memorize things and do the same thing over and over again until it sticks, which is not doing it with great difficulty. It's doing something so repetitious, it's boring. Boring indicates a non-difficulty. it often indicates complacency and normalcy. Studying is not that, at least in my opinion. So if at most, I think it's, in my opinion, a bit disrespectful to reduce someone's abilities to, hey, just do this over and over again and you'll get it. I'm like, you can do more than that. You can definitely do more than that. I that's kind of like a growing pet peeve now, which I'm saying personally to myself so that when I hear it, it wouldn't anger me. Or like, what I mean is I'm raising awareness of my own predilections. I find it very concerning how when someone says something and they cite a symptom, they can't possibly see the connection of the trigger for their problems. Like someone quitting out of disinterest, that's because a lot of times it's done without difficulty. It's done without intrigue. It's done without the desire to do more or to improve more or to experiment. Doing the same thing ad nauseum will get you a habit in which you turn everything into a nauseous, limited study potential. So I personally think this is true because it doesn't simply apply to things you want. It also applies to things you don't want, like schoolwork. When someone thinks that schoolwork is difficult, so the natural solution is to reduce its difficulty to the point that you don't care about it. Like, well, it's chicken and egg situation. It's initial that the person doesn't care about the topic. That's why they reduce and ease the difficulty and learn less from it because they don't care about it. Now, if you do that to something you want to do or something you think you want to do, then technically you're telling yourself you don't want to do it. Like, if you don't want to study, make it as easy as possible, like a hack. So that's the trade-off. You're not actually learning that well and very inefficiently, in my opinion, when it comes to sustainability and practicality. So if you want to sacrifice that for a hack, though it's called a hack for a reason, right? You're making compromises. Hacks have compromises. And if you want to hack, it's for the short term. It's rarely ever for the long term. Like, hey, here's a hack. This will create long, sustainable. No, it won't. It's so unlikely that a hack with quick results, quick responses, low learning curve, ease of use will ever create. They rarely ever create sustainable, gradual, progressive form of like retention or habit formation. If you don't want it to be an intellectual thing, go look at fitness. Anytime a fitness routine is seen as a hack, they are temporary solutions to chronic or to consistently longevity based skills, like maintaining your health. You don't hack your diet, you maintain the diet. It's hard to maintain a hack because the hack only creates temporary trade-offs. So if you're bored now and you're avoiding studying because it's a boring process, hacking it and making it boring is not going to change its problem. The chronic problem is boredom. And what's often attached to that, it's its ease and disinterest, not the other way around, where making it easy somehow makes you learn more. In fact, if you did it difficult, you probably still learn at the same rate initially. So that's my 2 cents about this phrase. It's kind of coincidental that I read a post before I got on today about hacking studying. Like, well, if you're hacking studying, that's exactly why you would post advice like that. Like, you go around looking at hacks and selling hacks to a lifelong skill of learning. That is, in my opinion, a young person looking to skip over and cut over one of the most essential skills as a human being, and that's to learn something. I guess if they are referring to studying as practicing, then yeah, you can practice all you want. I doubt you're going to learn very much over the course of your life other than memorize something with full detachment. That's kind of my thought about that. If you're hacking, things have to be hard enough for you to be interested and applied and obligated to overcome. Otherwise, yes, boredom is going to make you quit. It also tells me that if someone like that gives me advice, I personally would have a conflict of interest with them, because you have to like studying to be able to do it. Using a hack that will reduce it to a less chance of liking or wanting to do it is unlikely to be successful in the long term. That's like kind of saying, oh, hey, you want to be a marathon runner? Here's a hack to run faster. Okay. Time comes to marathon, it's like, oh, you did learn how to run fast, but you didn't learn how to run long. Like, those are two different disciplines. Studying is not a hack. Maybe if you want to cram for an exam, for example, sure. Or you want a temporary reprieve for like 3 months and then call it a day, maybe. Or you decided like you learned something and you're never gonna learn again. That's probably a good way to hack your way through learning. Like school, right? Like if you only want to graduate high school, yeah, you can hack your way through high school, for sure. If you want to spend the rest of your life learning, there's no replacement for a long game. You don't hack. It's kind of like I watch a lot of fitness, like various fitness people, and the one thing that you can often say about life skills like nutrition and fitness is there's no substitute for consistency. We can try our best to keep ourselves consistent, like encourage ourselves to consistently do things and encourage ourselves to improve those life skills. Compounding hacks upon hacks can still work. It certainly would be a very large uphill battle every time to discover a new hack upon new hack when the old hack gives up. Right? It's one of those things like when you get going and you keep going, like keep the momentum, right? Keep on moving, you don't stop, it's easier to keep on going. It's harder to stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. A hack creates stop, go, stop, go. Now, for certain people, maybe like that person that was giving that advice, maybe that works for them. That's great. Giving that as an advice and call it a hack without offering an alternative, that other person, it might not work for that other person. And if I had to take a gamble, what would work overall? Well, the consistent thing would be more consistent overall. Hacks would be more inconsistent. That doesn't mean they don't work. Hacks do work for people. My disagreement and conflict of interest with that is it is less likely to work than something that promotes consistency. So, no. That's kind of like a maybe 2 out of 5 advice, let alone selling it as some like secret, right? The word hack, secret. You do things with sufficient difficulty in order to study. You don't ease it to the point to compensate for your disinterest. That to me is like giving someone a false sense of security that they're actually studying, but they're not. They're studying and learning, but they're not. There's no effort in it. You'll probably hear that like a broken record. Like, oh yeah, this thing is so easy, you can do it with your eyes shut. It's also very boring. And the ease reflects your results because you actually don't, like, when that person said like, oh, your vocabulary is gonna explode, I doubt it. I really do doubt it. And maybe in the short term you might remember those things, but there's no scalability to a hack like that. I mean, imagine doing that constantly. Like, people aren't memorizing in that way. They're creating associations. It requires higher complexity to scale to that many words. So weird. The whole doing and over again. So weird. Anyways, maybe it'll be difficult to forget this. I think it's really the read. That's the problem here. As Alice drive, I suppose. Okay.
勉强，
勉强. Oh, actually, 强 is kind of weird. How did 强 work? Wait, how does my 强 work? Huh. I'll have to revisit Qiang at some point.
伶俐，
Li. Li is the meaning problem. So I think of profit, but Li, the right side is profit. And then with the person is clever. So Ling Li. And then Ling is actor. So if you're acting clever, I mean, actors are witty. Daft? And adroit. Deft, not daft. Daft is a whole different meaning.
伶俐，纸鹤，
Zhi he. This is the bird. He. And he is not Che, which is the principal character. I ascribe this to Che. So he. The re problem outside of crane. And then the paper makes the most classical origami, right? Origami is a paper crane, so that can help me out there.
纸鹤，站房，
Zhengfang. Zheng is the weak one, which is a pivot from warehouse. It's not a tree. That is the problem here. Like, I'm looking for a tree. But Zheng is also not the reed for that flail. It's usually some sort of Yan, Jian, Qian. And then Fang would help me think of like a room situation. Like a place as opposed to a tree, which I keep searching for a tree when I see this. So I think it's like Jian or Qian for some sort of tree.
站房，
Okay.
站房， 器皿， 伶俐，
Oops. I've got the G. Stop typing.
纸鹤， 勉强，
Alright. Our 10 from yesterday. I think we're gonna keep on doing our character studies as we're juggling. The vocab is not really ringing right now. Although I was kind of expecting this queue to kind of die down a little bit. And then we would hit vocabulary most of the time. I'll keep going for now. See how it is. I like looking at the dictionary quite a lot. Any opportunity I get that fulfills it without going too overboard. Sticking to my conditions. Okay.
方
Japanese helps out. That was a recent Japanese one. What? Oh no, it's when for Piglet. Dolphin doesn't help that much, and aardvark doesn't help with the Piglet. They're used this way, so I'm not sure if Piglet is used for this way. Like, is Chu Chu twin the thing? Or twin Chu? Twin Chu. A guinea pig? Oh wait, that might help actually. Shay twin? Oh, a capybara. A capybara? I don't actually know the tone pitch. I don't really know how to say capybara anymore. I'm just gonna say capybara. Jiang twin. Okay. A blowfish. I think a guinea pig is gonna be pretty solid. Squirrel plus or a mouse. Sorry, a mouse plus a. I was kind of hoping maybe like a piglet. I guess that's redundant. Although, when was the last time I expect Chinese not to be redundant? Dolphinarium? Interesting. I haven't ever seen it combined like that. Dolphinarium. This is nondescript. Water? A water piglet? I guess they do swim, but that could be any type of piglet in water. Oh, I guess the piglet is a mammal, so there aren't too many mammals left outside of. Yeah, we're gonna use twin shoe. How many shoes? Right, want that closer than the other ones.
度
Okay. Oh no, that's wa or frogo. What? I thought this was building. Oh wait, it's chun or exhibiting. A building is close. It's close. It's a tree for building, which is a little bit of a mix-up. Like, this screams building more than the tree so I gotta keep that in mind. Yeah, my bad.
Zheng
Struggle. Okay. I mean, fight is kind of related to fight. Actually, there's no word for this. Can I get... Oh, there's a lot of fight situations. Maybe Chen? Oh, Zhenjia? Huh? Like, Rick? That... I might use this because I don't have a strong prick. If any. Oh yeah, prick is an early one too, and it doesn't have a word. struggle and this is starting to look more like a bind than a prick. Oh, let's go with this. These are two weak characters put together. Struggle as in like fighting back, like struggling. That's right. Trying to. Oh.
强
Oh no.
要
Okay.
光
Shine, ray, or
沉 力 屯
not. Oh no, ying. There's no ing, right? No, there.
鲁
Thanks to Japanese. Got a reinforcement from Japanese there.
巨 江
No. Yes. No, it's a plant. Ginger. Dang it. Ginger. Either you know it or you don't.
尖
Eh? Lian. Lan? Lan, it's an orchid. Dang it. Oh, it's a Lian. Lan. Do we have... Oh, no. Oh, we do have a lot of... We have the orchid already. You know what? I'm kind of curious if orchid is mixed with another plant or not. Oh, goodness. Alright. I think we're just gonna stick with Lan Hua. Reason why I picked Lian is because this part is also Lian. Oftentimes letter is Lian. But it's also Lan. Like this is also Lan. Oh wait, actually it's more Lan with the door. Okay. So it's only Lan with the door. Okay. That's good to know. Good to know. Either you know it or you don't.
蓝
For what it is, though.
触
This one is kind of know it or you don't.
盾
This one is tough. It's or slip out. Sorry, not slip up. It's related to Tui though. Tui and Tuo, Tui and Twin. They have similar meanings and their characters are similar. At the right hand is Tui. To retreat. So slip out is kind of retreating to some extent, and that's how I remember that.
挖
That's a misread. This one's weird.
扇
I can think of what they would use to tie this up, but well, it's still good for now. No hurry. Oh, this is the evil share. Oh no, it's near, and then the share is in at the top. Remember that.
安
It's not a bridle. Okay. Is it a stagger? Like, part of me want to type chow, but then I want to type chow. Dang it. Raise the foot. Dang it. The foot is the key. Yeah, this is yeah.
聂
It's evil. Evil shit. This one's weird.
废
Dark. The right is Fey. Or can be Fey. It could also be die. Or die. Or something. Oh no, that's just... questionable. But this one's...
赵
This one's... Because it's Zhao, but... What example? Oh, it's just a name. Yeah. Name. You either know or you don't. Oh. This one's a swap up.
赏
Sun is the key. This one is a mix up too.
谢
And this is more of a wanikani. Up here. This one's a mix up too. Oh no, it's sh. No, sh, not s. Oh no, it's woo. Ah, it's falsely accused. Okay, here's why I think it's sh. I also have to consider sh, s, and sh, because they both also have those. It's the right hand. So woo is words. Then sh is mouth. I know there's bamboo, so that's kind of helpful there. And then there's a s. What is s? What is s? Why do I think? I think I'm thinking of which, right? Oh yeah, here it is. So, which has the whirlpool, or what do I call it now? Return. That's the return. All three of them are the ones that have that. Oh, this is the other one. This is
续
Shu. That one's weird. This one is tough too.
陈
Dust. It might link up with I, like I Chen. Oh no, there are plenty of dust stuff. It is. Yeah, we have vocabulary. This one's weird.
字
The heart helps a bit because it deals with the heart. You kind of want to see unrestrained and stuff attached to like soul as well, or spirit. That's what I think immediately, but I don't think that's right. So part of me want to type Jian, another part of me want to type Do, and then another part of me want to type Ye. It's probably oh yeah, okay, it's vertical. This one we're gonna need some help. Vertical harp, erect. Great. Here's what I think of those things. So, Jian is the top. Oftentimes, and then Jian is the prototypic top, even though it has dirt. And then it can be Chen, because Chen is the right. But these two put together tends to be promiscuous, so I shouldn't think of it that way. It's maybe that's how I have to go about it. And then dough is the bottom, the bean dough. So shoo, how do we shoo it up? I think we can find, yeah, we can find Zhong. That would be great. Let's see. Probably not. That would be redundant. Shu qi. Oh, that's pretty good. To erect like a tent. Oh, to prick up one's interesting. It's kind of like propping up. Shu bi. A vertical stroke. Interesting. I kind of like that. And then we had Shu qi for harp. Shu qi. I see. Shu di. Quarter. A bit sus. I like this. A vertical stroke. Shubi. It might end up being misinterpreted as simply no, I think I got this. Shubi sounds good.
Lei.
Play. This is the person, so it's gonna be a bit. I think I know which one this is gonna end up being. Lei is gonna mix with Kui. Maybe like Lei Kui or Kui Lei. Possibly. There it is. Kui Lei. Literally and figuratively at the same time. Ooh, we can combine even further. A puppet show. C for drama? Yeah, let's add all of it together. Yeah. Quay Lei C. Now all we have to do is think of a Muppet show. Okay, anyway. There is another puppet. There is another puppet. How did this work? Part of me wanted to type Quay right away, but oh, is this like no? The ghost makes it not. Oh. What? Oh, do I have the wrong place? Oh yeah, way or tall. I worked on this a couple of times. Let's find a word for this. So way, maybe like way gal. I don't know if it's describing a person. So it could be towering. It could also link up with all the towers. Or erecting as well, raising up things. Let's see. What do we got? Way, towering, there it is. But way is not going to help us. Wei Zhan, majestic, yeah, imposing. So of high status as opposed to like literally high, but more like high of status, like a towering thing. Ooh. Cui Wei. Cui is Cui, that doesn't help. But the other Cui creates the towering effect too. Wei. Oh, it's a place. I think Ran doesn't get the nature of being tall, right? Or lofty. Wei Oh, I like Wei That's the other high. We'll do Wei Okay. I think the other doesn't have anything attached to it either. So good. Good. 2 for the price of 1. Let's see here. It's not a dough. What was the word that we chose? Heck. Oh there, Poco. I've been well. How are you doing? Where are the beans? Sure. So what, he's stacking... He's getting someone... Oh, you know what? We can write something new for this, actually. Oh, no, wait. We can't. Because this doesn't stand alone, does it? Dang it. So it's like getting... It's helping the search for the beans somehow vertically. Yikes. And what was the vertical that we had? Oh, stroke. Shoo. Shubi. Shubi. Okay. Shubi. Baked? Oh, wait. Like baked beans? I don't remember what I said that would relate to baked. Oh, are you saying you're baked? Oh, baked beans. Okay. I'm like, where's this going? Are you baked?
餐
Okay,
贪
paralyzed.
污
It's a bird. What type of bird, though?
歌
A dove or a pigeon? Okay.
应 触
Oh, this is towering as well. They didn't chose this. You can't imagine you'll be baked anymore now that you're living with your father? Okay, okay. Silver lining. Silver lining. I know there's some thoughts about like it still would be a, you know, it could be a temptation. That's good to hear. At least I feel like that's an overall positive, right?
客 拽
Waddle. Hmm.
香
This one's weird. Ah! Eh? Xiang is probably to inlay. Dang it. Jumped the gun. This one's weird, right?
当
Squander. That one's rough. Rough. Inlay is rough. Imagine using the word inlay. I don't think I've ever used inlay as a verb in so long. Like, to inlay something. Or inlay as well. There's an inlay and a to inlay. I think the closest thing for my inlay that I can think of is like fabrication and like a dentist thing. Not really a silver lining as you're happy living with your dad. It's only while your mom moves house. Oh, okay. Good. That's even better. That's not only a silver lining. That's like the glass mostly full. Like it. Very nice. What the?
梨
Oh no. Alright, it's time to guess what animal this is. Not a dolphin. No, it can't be a dolphin. Is it a leopard? No, it's not a leopard. Not a dog type. Is it a weasel? No, not a weasel. This is how you either you know it or you don't. Oh no, wait. Could this? No, no, no. My is haze. I think this is an animal. And is it a chickmunk? No. Is it a characteristic of an animal? I don't have a I don't have a really solid guess. Mole, mongoose. Is it a mammal? What else? What else do I have? I'm going through the animals that I do know so I can rule them out. We know what a mole is. Weasel, badger, hedgehog. Alligator. Hare, rabbit. No, those are really obvious ones. Not again. Guinea pigs. Just looked up guinea. Dang, a seal? No. It's going Chinese mile. Okay, it's a Chinese mile with a animal. A badger. It's something like a badger. I have no idea. It's not a badger. A raccoon dog. Obviously. I'm kidding. Raccoon. Okay. Also, you know, it's a talk. I know it's a talked about thing, but I feel the importance of an active father figure as the structure to my daily life he imposes on you has already made you feel a lot better in a weird way. That's great. That's great. Structure is good. Structure is good for having a person who has you have a living example. For some reason, it makes you feel as if you're a lot more valued, but not in an egotistical way. I think you need to be more egotistical. Honestly, like what I mean is, the structure and imposing, I think hopefully would build your ego up. Like we're not trying to apply Freudian like methods here. We're talking about ego as in your self-esteem, like your ability to have control over your life situation. Like I understand sometimes egotistical is stigmatized, but I think that's the way that you're talking about. Like not in an egotistic way, but it's building you up. It's giving you like at least a reassurance, some sort of solidarity in hopes that maybe one day it'll build your like give you enough structure by example or strength so that you can go on to be have a strong ego, so to speak, like solidarity and whatever is happening. Have you watched any The Rest is Science podcast episodes? I have not. You have a feeling we briefly talked about it before? Have we? Let me make sure. No, I don't think we have talked about it directly, but I am familiar with it and I've seen shorts of it because of Vsauce. But I think some of the stuff we talked about might have been in it. From it. Not the podcast specifically, but very possibility that we've talked about examples from like a short because I've seen those two people talk to each other. Like it comes up on my feed a lot. That makes you think of the bear cat, a binturong, which you discovered recently. Oh, I think raccoon dog is the tanuki that they're referring to, the tanuki. You've seen the tanuki as well, like Mario, the tanuki suit. That's the raccoon dog. Maybe you said not an equal to describe as you feel of more value, not to show off way, but oh, okay, but a comfort and security in how you feel about yourself. Yeah, yeah, those things would be egos for sure. And I understand that ego has been stigmatized for quite some time. I think you need sufficient ego, right? Not to start to, again, not to sound like Freud or anything. Everyone needs substantial ego. Like it's balanced out, right? It's balanced out. So if you're lacking ego, that's where like self-esteem comes in. You need some sort of self-esteem, enough solidarity in yourself, and that usually comes from some having a model, someone who can build your value, right? If value is not coming from within yet, you need some value to start building from within. So having a support system is fantastic. Support systems are supposed to supply you with, supposed to, right? And I'm glad to hear that you have some sort of external source when the time is rough. Whenever I get time, it would be interesting to see how you score this word test and what you think of the option. You know what's really funny about that? Yesterday, or more correctly, earlier today, I was just talking to someone about their vocabulary depth, because they're still working on their vocabulary depth, and I was talking to them about how one measures vocabulary depth without literally having to do an exam where it tests your entire vocabulary depth. And I'm guessing this thing, I'll leave it on the side and I'll DM you later. But these things build, I'm guessing the thing that you're showing me is probably, wait, cannot get. Did you just send me a virus? I'm just kidding. Okay, I'll look it up myself. So vocabulary, vocable. Yeah, here it is. Yep, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's in the video of the subscription. Yeah, I found it. It's popularized by the peeps. There are various versions of these, and that's sheer coincidence, by the way, sheer coincidence. So I told the person they were concerned about their vocabulary depth, not the necessary fluency of their language, but and there were various ways. Your dad beat both Vsauce and Hannah. Right? He's got 96 out of 100. Dang. That's solid. There are other ways to test these types of like vocabulary aptitude, and we'll see how this one goes. Have you ever done the word depth range thing? There are various ones. I see we were looking at this new one. It looks like any other app nowadays, where they use like adaptive SRS, where like for example, do you know what the common range of like a native English speaker? So it's been said various things. We're looking at about like 14,000 words for a high school level. It can vary, but it's anywhere from 10,000 to 14,000 English words for a high school to kind of early collegiate native English speaker. And then it doesn't go up by that much. It goes up to like 16,000 to 18,000 for a PhD holder. And that's where it accounts for the specialized vocabulary, which how they estimate that there are various studies over the years how you estimate, because you're not going to take an exam that tests all those words. You're going to test them by correlating frequency and specialty across boards. So nowadays people came up with either an adaptive way to test. So like when the increasing, it keeps going down in bins of frequency. Yeah, that was stated in that podcast episode. Your dad asked me what I thought the word count would be after driving me back from a long day at work, and you guessed a few hundred. Oh, that's a great coincidence. Yeah, we literally talked about this. Like me and this other person was really worried about their like testing parameters, and we literally, like, I kid you not, the last thing I did before I went to bed and got up for stream, after after running, was how people estimate, because taking a test to test all like 26,000 usually roughly words is going to be, that's preposterous. So what they do is they try to bin all the frequencies, and then you have an adaptive test. If you consistently get something right, it keeps dropping down in bin frequencies, and then eventually it'll go up if you miss one. And in 100, usually 100 questions, some have 140, some have 200, or anywhere from 100 to 200. It's enough to narrow down to where your vocabulary depth is. And this occurred before, like when we were learning vocabulary and people talk about English, and I often tell people, like, I don't think my English is incredible. I think it's slightly above average. And then someone came up, like, oh, you could do this, and then they were explaining the study to me, like the various studies of how to evaluate vocabulary depth. And the test that I took, the mock thing that was hosted by a university that published something on this, they only had an upper limit. So when you hit that upper limit, it's strictly just says 14,000 plus. So basically there's more resolution as you go down. So like if you're a non-native speaker, going up to a native speaker gives good range. But then when you hit 14K plus, it's specialized. So those can't be measured very well. So for example, when I took it, I had all the responses correct. But the thing is, the test only goes up to a maximum, like a 14,000. Like the words that they test were words that are not included in the specialized groups. So things like, I don't know, absent total, like you probably won't get absent total too much, or enantiomers, right? Enantiomers or enantiomers, or like systolic, asymptotal, like asymptote, but the adjective of asymptote, like approaching a limit, like the diminished return curve. Yeah. So asymptotal. There's those types of words are like just specialized, and there might not even be like proper words specifically for the dictionary use. It's more for like describing in a specialized way. For example, something like Planck's constant, like just saying Planck's, like those are very concepts, right? Or systolic is a good one. Stochastic is another one. Stochastic, I'm thinking of like words that I would use the moment I start talking about technical things, that rarely would come up, because no one would just randomly say systolic. Saltatory is not going to be a word you would use. I would be surprised if someone used saltatory all of a sudden. I don't know. Let me. Oh man, I used to be a lot better at this. If I had a topic to talk about, maybe it'll come up. But like, there are words that are coming. What the Zenzik? What is that? What is that? Are you making up things? It's an old word for two. Oh wow, no, yeah, that is a good example. Uh, here are some. Let's do the reverse. Here are some fun words. Let me reload so I can use my pen. 2 to the 8th power. Oh no, it's just not 2. Sorry, just to the 8th power. Oh, it's just to the 8th power. Oh, I see. Fair enough. I wouldn't know, unfortunately. Here's some fun ones. Let's do the reverse roll. I think because of ChatGPT and content creation, right? Like content creation, I often spend a lot of time talking down. Like people think I'm talking down all the time when I say net speak, right? So oftentimes net speak is getting a reduction, right? There's a reduction in the complexity of English in casual conversation. However, in NetSpeak, technical conversation has increased, largely due to the advent of content creation. So there are words that would not show up in those exams that now NetSpeak accounts for. And one of them, that person really made it obvious. Delve was a really funny one to delve into the rigors of like research. So delve is a really funny one. I don't use delve as much as my LARP. Oh yeah, LARP is more of a slang. So there's also Maillard. I don't even know how to spell Maillard. How do you spell Maillard? It's very similar to saying like planks. Yeah, the Maillard reaction. Oh, it's LL. Okay. Yeah, Maillard reaction. That's one. That is because of cooking channels. Maillard is like everywhere. Emulsification. Emulsification is growing. So these words are being added. They used to be rare, far rare, because they deal with chemistry and biochemistry, Maillard and emulsification. Newtonian. Strange because I kind of like Cartesian as well, but the Cartesian, there's no use for Cartesian at the moment. But Newtonian is pretty good one. So these are like words that, because of technicality of content creation, NetSpeak has actually, some particular words have increased in its technicality, which makes it more layman, right? It's now more popular, while reduction of casual conversation is like bro and stuff. Descartes is one of your favorite philosophers. Yeah, Descartes. Kudos to him. What you call it? I'm trying to think if I can pick up any other interesting ones. Differentiation. Differentiation is really nice. Correlation, obviously. Correlation is like off the charts. Thanks to the NetSpeak. The idea of data, right? Significance. And not the way of the old casual use of words, but significant, right? Significant. That has been used quite a lot now to the advent of like the statistical behavior that we have on net. I should have some good ones. All right, just to clarify, these are words that NetSpeak have made these words more popular. Yeah, more popular. They are commonly used, and they might be used exclusively in a manner that is not what it was originally used as a technical term. Like, the first place you would encounter emulsification is lipids, like lipid bilayers in chemistry class or chemistry biology class. You will learn about the lipid bilayer, right? Hydrophobicity. But now, because of the advent of content creation, people know what an emulsifier is, or emulsification in the context of cooking, and specifically in the context of cooking. That's the very similar to Maillard. Maillard is so much more popularized, despite originally probably the first place you would think of the Maillard reaction is probably biochemistry and biology. Now Maillard is used in the kitchen all the time. Like if you have someone who's a consumer of content and they watch cooking shows, right, like cooking channels, when they're cooking steak or any form of protein, they're probably going to naturally mention Maillard, like a Maillard reaction. And when you add like oils, like olive oils and like your typical oils, the word emulsification or emulsify will come out. The Maillard equals carcinogen. Yeah. Again, that's kind of it's a yes or a no. It's a yes and a no situation. But yeah, the Maillard is the dealing with the like carcinogenic potential for sure. And differentiation deals with like statistics now, like how to differentiate things, which is how they were used. Usually people use like different as in contrastive, different, like, oh, I'm different from you, or I differ from you, like I disagree with you situation. But now differentiation is also used in its statistical format very often, along with correlation, as opposed to like, oh, when this goes up, that goes up, or these are related. The word correlation is used instead of related. Like, hey, if this goes, this is correlated with that, as opposed to, oh, when this goes up, that goes up, or like they're, related to each other. The word correlation is used far more now. And significance in the sense of not saying importance, but significance in the sense of statistics. So when someone says, oh yeah, that is quite significant, they're not talking about whether it's important, more so than it is statistically significant. There's an imparting of data, which is what is responsible from why I'm ascribing it to NetSpeak, because it's very some people would simply, like, outside would probably say, oh, that's important. Like, well, now it's significant, and significant has a rise in these. The guy who does this a lot is the etymology nerd. The etymology nerd talks about this stuff all the time, and I do enjoy that there is someone who's like making his career. He wrote a book and it's quite successful about talking about these. I imagine he has far more depth than I do. I'm just talking about, I'm sharing the stuff that I observed over the years since I've been fairly focused on language learning of the last couple years. So there are some, I was thinking there might be some fun ones that I could come up with. Quantum. And honestly, I feel myself in this, the word quantum. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, quantum computing, right? No, MCU. Quantum. Like, because of MCU. However, quantum computing in certain specific areas, like when you're thinking about like technology, like GPUs and stuff, the word quantum might get thrown around. And we're not talking about physics, the use of the term quantum in quantum physics. Now it's quantum ascribed to like technology and dimensions, which is a different popularized use of it. So whenever like I imagine a physicist would groan every time someone says quantum computing by specifically like when they say quantum computing, they only mean the generalized concept. Yeah, general and generalized concept of quantum. Like it's very fast. Like they're using the word quantum as in very fast, incomprehensibly fast, not the concept of quantum in like quantum physics. So that's one. And then MCU uses quantum as a generalized way of speaking about dimensional peculiarities, right? It's almost as a write-off for the word magic, like magical or superstition or science fiction. It's quantum, and that's that's a pretty big one. This one is pretty funny. You can harvest a lot of NetSpeak from online subscription shows. So any show that is very uh like for example, I'll give you one. Technical things. Oh man, I was gonna do like niche things, very niche things, like the word predilections. I don't even know how to spell predilections. That's close enough. Predilections, tendencies. These all also spawn from like statistics. I think because of the heavy statistical nature of things. Um, do I? I'm trying to think. Maybe what other fields are there? Fitness has a lot of things. Um, what you call it? IBS. IBS is like, oh, it's IBS, and I'm like, huh? Like, do you know what IBS is? It's like, well, it's that thing, and I'm like, do you know what it is? Like, and they can describe it, but I'm like, inflammatory bowel syndrome. Do you know that? And it's like, no, it's IBS, and I'm like, okay. I mean, they know what IBS, like the concept of IBS is, right? And obviously we have mental stuff, right? Like ADHD, ADD, attention deficit, that related things, neurotypical, right? Actually, honestly, I didn't even use these terms until like other people started talking about like atypical and neurotypical stuff. YouTube to mean white people instead of YouTube. Oh, YT to mean white people instead of YouTube. That's good. Wow, you're really digging. That's a deep cut right there. That's a pretty deep cut. What field can we tap? Oh, viruses. Viruses is it's got a boon, and not in the sense of biology, but like computers. So viruses, right? Things like malware, right? Phishing. Uh, embed, right? Embed, not in bed, but in bed. Oh, here's one that I enjoy from Supernatural, since I've been watching Supernatural. This is not related to NetSpeak, but one of the characters, oh no, I somehow I'm drawing a blank on his name. Bobby? Yeah, Bobby. He says idiot. I still remember this from some reading like older like American novels. The word idiot. The reason why I'm bringing this up is it kind of reminds me of how init works. It's like idjit and init. There's a dark one that you discovered recently, DNR, meaning do not revive, but not do not grape. A horrific emergency from basement dwellers within the Lux Maxing community. Oh. Interesting. Huh. Oh. Interesting. I am unaware of that one. Your sister always used to call you an idjit. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, an idjit. I thought it was. I think it's cute. It was very impressionable because he, instead of just saying like they're just bumbling idiots, he just says idjit. So this is a great example of occasionally I would do something like that. Like the last time we talked about English, right? I said pumpkin, and that's kind of what I mean by it. Like sometimes when you know words well enough and you can play off them, it can be very memorable. So occasionally I throw in napakin or napakakin. just like the idea of like saying idjit every once in a while, just for the heck of it. Yeah. Anyways, great track down to memory lane. So reduction in English does happen for casual conversations. However, whenever someone like talks about technical stuff, yeah, vocabulary has changed as well. And whenever I think about those word exams, like the exams that you're talking about, the word exams, I'm not sure how dynamically they are when they're adapting to NetSpeak, because man, there are some occasions where I was going over vocabulary with this person, and they would remember specific words that I would find very peculiar when words like apostle is missing, or like premiere, apostle, covenant, coven. Like there are various other things that have faded away, right? And the reason why I picked those words is because they're religious words, they're spiritual related, and those things have faded, as in like when you're online. Apostle, I pronounce, yeah, apostle. Yeah, like I do. Apostle is more of a American. Like I don't know what you do in the UK, but apostle is Americanized. I pronounce my T's a lot of times. Like nettle, like net, instead of saying nettle, like the plant. Um, and like kettle sometimes instead of kettle. So all of the apostle also comes up. Yeah, stinging nettles. Yeah, like nettles situation. Yeah. So occasionally I would go back and forth. I don't really know when and where I would pronounce the T's, but it can come up. Another one would be satiety, like being satiated, like satiety. But there was a new one here. Intestine. I say intestine. You can also say intestine or intestine. Intestine, intestine. So I say all three of them. So whenever in Japanese, one of the characters was cho, or intestine. You say intestine, yeah. So that's, yeah, that lines up with most people. And I say intestine more so than intestine versus intestine. Yeah. So That's a weird one. Missiles as opposed to missiles. Here's one related to your comment about apostles. You say missiles like thistles. I see. Here's one related to your the apostle situation. Rustle, like rustling leaves. Rustle. I don't say rustles, like rustling in the leaves. You know, like rustling in the wind. I say rustling in the wind. So that's an example where, okay, so what happened to your T's there? Like, sorry, I'm an English speaker. We don't really choose it. Or like what I mean is, whenever like someone else comes in, is like, I'm trying to learn English. It's like, how do you pronounce this word, right? It's like, oh, that's Russell. Okay, then how do you pronounce this word? You know, like what was our word? Apostle. It's like, no. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you've ever seen this one guy. He comes up every once in a while on my feed. He does a different variant of the French and English and Spanish guy who, like, you know how they say, okay, so this word is Russell. So then, and then he erase the chart and write this and say, so, and this word is apostle? No, it's apostle. And how do you know that? Because it just is. Because you know. That's that they do that all the time with English. Like what? Okay, so then but they would pick easier ones like can I get a good one? Let's start like but no matter which side of the pond you are on, the T stays entirely quiet. Gemini is taking shots at a pronunciation of pastel. Oh well, that's what happens. That's what happens. It's like saying, is this postal or postal? Obviously, I'm not sure if this is a word. Let's go find out if this is a word. It is, but I don't know how I feel about Geminis. Oh, no. Oh, it can be referring... Oh, this is people. This is a proper noun. You're getting ridiculous now. Postal can never be pronounced with a silent T. That's exactly what I mean. I'll give you another one. That's not how you spell that. Is Gemini your go-to Gen AI? No, it's because I have Chrome. Like, I literally type into Google and Gemini is active. Yeah, like the color. Pastel. Pastel. Yeah. I already told you this. And then you made the comment about like Chrome. We had the discussion before. So did a bunch of other people at this discussion. Because it's gonna talk about like AI, blah blah blah. Right. And then like tracking data. Some people would take the ad block routes. Usually it's the AI route. And then the resource route. Pastel. Oh, pastel. Oh, dang. uh. Oh, pastel. I should say. Okay. Okay. Um. So you don't say do you say pasta or do you say pasta? Because I do hear pasta sometimes nowadays. No, actually, you had it right the first time. I thought you were going to pronounce the P as O. Who says P still? Oh, like pastel? Like the emphasis is on the first syllable? Like pastel? If it's P, pastel? I don't know how it would end up being on the a P. That's interesting. I haven't encountered a P in pastel since the emphasis is on the last syllable. No, like blowing your lips. P. E. Yes. 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 Del. Pastel? I'm not sure I've heard of pastel either. Like there's no E in it. I don't know. Or like for me I don't have an example of what that sounds like. Like I'm already having a problem with it. Oh, you're confusing it. The original pronunciation of your uh pastel comment was correct. Okay, okay. Or pastel. Okay, pastel. Okay. That's interesting. I haven't heard that one before. Pasta, I've heard. Pasta. Maybe that's the P part? Pasta? Is that what you mean? Asta? Is that what you're saying? Pasta? So pastel? The like you thought I was gonna say pastel. No, wait, no. That doesn't it's the like how Northern English would pronounce pass. Oh, yes, yeah, uh, yeah. I would have to hear it. Let me make a note for myself. Northern English pass accent. Yeah, instead of a oh, I see, I see. Ah, I see. I got you. I got you. What about pasta? I say pasta just to trigger some people. Locally, regionally, if I say like pasta, just just to trigger. You can trigger people by saying pasta. I mean, it's not like pasta is it like you can still trigger people by saying pasta. But this is the ST. I'm making fun of the ST, obviously. You intended no ill-mannered mention of one's buttocks with that comment. I got you. I got you. Oshiri. Oshiri. O. Oshiri. And why am I bringing up oshiri? In Japanese, so shiri is butt. But the butt is holy. It is respectful. So you need to put in an honorific. So in Japanese, it's oshiri. It's the holy butt. Your butt is important. It's a very important part of your body. So you gotta honor the butt. So oshiri. I just wanted to throw that in because it's funny. Anytime like butt comes up, it's like, oh yeah, don't forget the honorific. You gotta make it opposite. You know, if you call someone a butt, you at least honorize it. You know, culture. I tell you, culture. Pigu. I don't know. Pigu. I'm not sure if Chinese have any particular thing with pigu. Pigu is just pigu. Just, but. what's another good word for the ST? I'm obviously, joking, but apostle, I've said apostle for quite a lot of times. Like, do you say pestle? Like mortar, and pestle. I say pestle. So mortar and pestle. Like apostle. Gam. You say with a T. Oh, you say with a silent T, so pestle. Oh, interesting. I think Gemini is going to yell at me for this one too. Hang on. Let me see if Gemini yells at me for this one. Yep. There's no T. It's pestle. Oh, this time it's not from Gemini. They picked the generated YouTube video. Yeah, I say mortar and pestle. N-E-T-L, you pronounce the silent T, you think? Oh, I see. And I pronounce the T, and it's not because of English. So I'll keep that clear. It's not, I pronounce the ST not because of English. It's because of all the other languages. The st. It's something. It's like saying yo or ryo, st. So that's that. It's something dealing with counting the beats. It's dealing with like feeling the beats of the thing. It's not one thing. It's two beats. So like st. So postal, postal, postal. So there's like a short I in it, or E, or however. So very much like yo, yo, xiao. So still, so apostle, as opposed, and pestle. This is a English, American English thing. Mortar versus mortar. Or I don't know. Do you say the R in mortar? Or do you say more? No. So in English, it's syllables. And syllables, each syllable can have a range of 1 to 2 beats most of the time. Mortar. Oh, interesting. Mortar. Mortar? Yeah, mortar. Instead of mortar, right? And then maybe there's some degenerate out there. I'm kidding. But I'm saying it in an endearing way. Maybe there's some degenerate out there that says mortar. Yeah, T, no D. But what if it's like mortar? Mortar. Some degenerate out there is gonna say, yeah, that's how you say it, mortar. You know, this is like the water situation. I'm kidding, obviously, but I wouldn't. I'm like not offended. It would be kind of fun to hear someone say more, and I'm like, wait, are you saying more, or are you saying mortar, or are you saying mortar? So, oh, back to the syllable thing. So syllables can have a range of 1 to 2 beats. And beats are beats are inherited from a Japanese thing that I'm using. However, it's more from a Chinese perspective. Like, in general, Chinese quote unquote syllables, if you want to qualify them as, Chinese syllables tend to sound like they have 2 beats. So, in like they can be 1 to 2 beats. Like each of the sound has 1 to 2 beats, much like English syllables. So, like shen is not the same as she, right? So she and shen, technically they're syllable. Like you could see them as syllables, but because of the way tones work, like she and she and shen, they still sound like 2 beats. So despite it being written like this, like it's not like she. It's she, shen. So it always feels like there are 2 beats. Even when you're doing this, like this is she, not she. She. And this is shen. 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 What defines a beat specifically? It's the smallest like articulation you can have. So like E is 2 beats. 1 syllable. But you can see that it's not the same as ki in Japanese. So one of the things that give away like an American or an English accent in Japanese is oftentimes it's treated like syllables. They speak like syllables and things become elongated. So whenever like Japanese feel like it's always on time, because E is stretched out in English, yeah, because it has more than 2 beats. So like the nomenclature doesn't account for how long the beats are. It counts for syllables. So English is calculated by, it's timed by syllables. So like we don't say ki, we say ki. And then ki is ki. So this is ki. Ki. So ki e. And that's how you would create that sound if you wanted to get like a Japanese person to understand what this is. Like because it's syllable timed. So we know it as ki and it would be intuitive. But if you ask a Japanese person to pronounce this, they would say like kei, kei, like there would be a second thing. You would pronounce chi with a long e. Would it be shorter? It's chi. So this is chi in English. This is chi in Japanese. Chi. Chi. So anytime like, you know, the Dragon Ball Z, right? Or a DBZ or like a anime that deals with the internal energy, right? Chi or ki or chi this way, right? Chi, it would be ki, chi, chi, as opposed to chi, ki, and that's what in Chinese it always feels like 2. If we had to normalize it, what Chinese doesn't call it beats, but usually all of Chinese stuff is 2s. How will you write the pronunciation of a long and short E? Or yeah, or this. Yeah, these would be examples. Like you would write E and write a long thing. Like technically with the script, without using the script, it would be like E with an extra long thing. Or this. You're exactly correct. You would add the trail of the diphthong. So all the diphthongs that have multiple things, you would have to write all the diphthongs. Because the short E almost sounds like it has an I exactly in it. Exactly. So that's where you get the Japanese stuff. So like this is ke, right? Ke. And there's no like this, like a mouse making noise. Yeah. so that's why in when you think of like an American accent when you're reading like Japanese and Chinese, how do you tell, like, how do you pick out the weirdness? In my opinion, the first thing that came to mind when I was like growing up is that Chinese has a rhythm to it. It's tones based on twos with the occasional one. Now, how does that work? Like, for example, if I wrote it this way, this is for child, 孩子, 孩子. So 孩, right? 孩子. So these things indicate something, and it's always with a neutral tone that you get you get a staccato, you get a stop, it almost feels like a glottal stop. So 孩子. For like 汉字, right? 汉字. This is like the word for characters, Chinese characters. 汉字, 汉字. So whenever there's like a neutral tone, it's the staccato one. Outside of that, nearly everything sounds like it has 2 beats. And then in Japanese, everything sounds like it has 1 beat. And then every diphthong, like a diphthong that you would hear in English, has a diphthong written for 2 beats. So things like ke, ae, ko, right? All of them would have their diphthongs written out because it's 2 beats. And in English, there's no nomenclature for it because it's syllable based. So instead of writing key, right? Which key technically is written out because I and Y are the same thing, right? So that's still pretty good. But things like we're gonna do the British thing, like armor, for example, with the U, I tend to write out the U because of the diphthong. That's a habit that I have. So someone would ask like, "Oh, do you write out the U?" It's like, I do. Like color, I write out the U because of the diphthong. But then again, how come I don't write out the this? Because this is ko, like ko do, right? Ko do. It could be like ko do, right? So ko do. So that's 1, 2, 1. If I had to like read it in the way it's beated, or like color as a, or you know, like there's more beats in the second stuff. Applying it to the other meaning of beat, you wonder how many BPMs an average Chinese person would speak. Chinese people speak with in my opinion, Chinese is tonal timed. So now it's no longer a beat. Japanese is mora timed, which is what I'm using the concept. The concept of a beat is coming from Japan. However, Chinese is tonal timed. And then English is syllable timed. Oh, the average Chinese person would. The average Japanese person. Oh, okay. Also, you feel a bit bad as you didn't learn as much Korean as you should have, but when you were over there. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, Japanese. It's really, if you're a drummer, I talked about this before, a band, right? Okay. The lead guitarist Yeah, so the lead guitarist is English. The rhythm guitarist is Chinese. The drummer is Japanese. That's kind of like the metaphor that I've been using. The lead guitarist does whatever the lead guitarist does. Sometimes the note is held longer or shorter. He's just vibing. He vibes, and he can repeatedly vibe in inconsistent solo. And then the rhythm guitarist is Chinese. They have to speak with a specific rhythm. Like when the rhythm is off, it's going to feel off. Like you have to keep with the rhythm. There's a very regular rhythm in your speech. And in Japanese, it's syncopated. It's like a percussion. You have to count all of your beats. Every beat is represented in its thing, while every group, like the lyrical group, like the direction of the group is going to be flowing. So it has a repeatable rhythm, but it goes up and down as it's going. And then the lead guitarist just does whatever. It's a combination of the two. Like sometimes English decides it's 2 syllables or 2 beat syllables. Sometimes it's 1. Sometimes it just has a glottal stop in it, and etc. It's very jarring, and it's also, in my opinion, one of the defining traits of having an American accent when you're speaking Chinese and when you're speaking Japanese. Like, for example, your classic like things like I'll use a word that is very common, like sayonara, right? Sayonara. It's not sayonara. Sayonara. Like, right? Or something like konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Not konnichiwa. Konnichiwa would be the English. Konnichiwa. So you can see that some of the things are elongated, and it would be natural if you said that sayonara was a Spanish word. I thought oh wait, I just realized I've never realized that. Wait, hold up. Yeah, I just realized that's funny. It's not a Spanish word though. Adios. Adios is the one, but Spanish people do say like there was a time when Hollywood used like, or like there was depictions of sayonara, and sayonara is, for the record, it does use Spanish pronunciation. So there is you got me double taking for a moment. I do know what you mean though in Spanish. So for the record, in Spanish and Japanese, their phonetics share, like, in my opinion, greater than 50% similarity. So when you hear sayonara, you can also picture it being Spanish, because sa, yo, na, and ra are both in Spanish and in Japanese. Now the difference would be this part, ra. Ra would be different in Spanish than it is in Japanese. There would be a slight difference in ra versus da. Da is in Japanese and ra would be in Spanish. So sayonara, like sayonara, but like there would be a slight longer linger on the R instead of saying like da, la. La is the Japanese thing. but I forgot that it can sound like it. 太阳就来我哇发送我 Oh yeah, I think I know what you're saying or trying to say in Korean, right? Or something like that. I don't really know what you're typing there. Shocked monkeys if you've seen it. Oh no, Chinese? Let me think. 太阳不理我怕山我 Wait, wait. 太阳处理我 hold up. Those are lyrics to a Chinese song, and it recently been videos of Chinese man suddenly shouting those lyrics at monkeys, to which the monkeys react. Oh, okay. I don't know how. Oh, 太阳 oh 太阳出来 oh 出来我怕上坡 okay 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 I got you, I got you. That's why is this man singing? Hang on. Okay, so this guy is suddenly shouting those lyrics at monkeys. So this man is shouting the sun comes out, we're going to mountain climbing. Yeah, like let me see. 太阳, yeah, 太阳出来. So 太阳 is sun. So 太阳出来. So the sun has come out. We're going mountain climbing. 我怕上坡. So we're going mountain climbing. And you're telling me that this man just I'll get some culture here. Let me see. And then you're saying man shouting and then monkey. Chinese guy yelling at monkey original. All right, I'll take a look at that in the evening. I'm not sure if I know this one. 1995 Chinese pop folk hit. 带花什么？带花椒 by singer 火风. Interesting. The song starts with a famous lyric, okay. Yeah, the sun comes out, I climb the mountain. What else does he say? When I reach the peak, I want to sing. Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. I will. We're gonna wrap. We're gonna wrap for today. Yeah, thanks for the conversation, Procon. I got a lot to ruminate about this evening. I always appreciate it. I'll DM you the vocabulary thing in a bit. I don't think I'm gonna score that well. Yeah, it was a good conversation. That's what life is worth, you know? It's always worth having a good conversation. Feels very real and valuable. Hopefully you continue to have casual conversations, especially with your pops now that you're with him. I think you should sing these lyrics all of a sudden. Like, if you guys go mountain climbing, make sure to sing this. If anything, you got to get down the lyrics. When the sun comes out, go mountain climbing, you know? Okay. So I totally forgot. Oh, cool.
树
树是什么？ Vertical.
敲，谱，立，
Uh-oh. I want to say yi, but then I don't want to say yi. Heck. Probably sure. Sure. Okay, we need something for sure. Let's. Sure is the second read on secondary read for me. That one character on the right. Okay, so credit. Zhang. Ooh, Zhang will work. I like it. Oh, it's a variant too. It has a variant, which makes sense. The other Zhang. Okay, so Zhang makes sense. Zhang is kind of weak. Alright, so we gotta think of credit. Zhang. Okay. What the Ting?
停，
It's either beautiful or graceful. We're gonna go with graceful. Okay.
奢，
Sure. On credit.
碾，
Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Um.
变，
That one's weird. Very weird. This is mound. Is it kun or kun? No. No. It's just no N. It's ka. And I was imagining the power plant too. Dang it. Oh, this is the other quay.
腿，
We actually have a double dip now.
丝，
It's either hiss. It's not hiss. What's another utterance? Mutter. Bang. Shouting. It's yelling of some sort. Out of rage. Like he's like destroying the things and he's yelling. I have no idea. Horse. Oh yeah, horse voice. Dang it. Alright, let's go see horse. Maybe Su is gonna line up with maybe like Sirang, or like the nature of being horse, like the throat being hoarse from sound. Or it could be like thorns, like scratchy, or it could be a throat, like a body part, like long or something. Long. Maybe it can end up being coarse or something like that, like tu. Gotta brainstorm. What do we got? Onomatopoeia? Of course, onomatopoeia. Coarse crowing. Yeah. Really? I guess. Horse mute. That's weird. Ming. To neigh? Ming is chirp, right? Or it's a form of calling out. But it ended up being a horse. There is a I would think of a bird. Sihan. Oh, horse shouting or calling out. Yeah, yell. 嘶吼, a roar, which is still yell. So, and then another call out, 嘶叫. You know what? Oh, and this incorporates the horse thing. Interesting. Or call. And then, oh, it combines with hissing and sizzling. 嘶嘶香. 嘶嘶香 makes sense. A sizzling noise. Interesting. Let's go with on is pretty solid. Oh, is not that solid. We'll use this. This one's pretty good. Get some extra practice in for utterance. Trying to pair up the utterances. The utterances are tough. Like things that deal with the act of utterance. So having a hoarse sound. It's talking about this hoarse sound a mouth makes. So it's got to be like, oh, mutter, whispering, like not the act of specifically the act of whispering, but the whispering sound, like a whispering volume, something like that. All of these are utterances. That's not Lu. Oh, whoops, my voice just cracked. My bad. What the heck? How's that not Lu?
为
A raccoon dog.
离
I almost typed Anuki.
玉
Japanese helps because it's still you, and it's healing, but get well is fine too. They're both same thing. Okay. Oh, what? Oh, yen, not yi, yen.
可
Or bump. Right.
玉
Is either desire or pleasure or lust. Okay. Desire, that's fine. Lust and desire are kind of, I understand they're two different vices, but we're just gonna
燕
give ourselves a little bit of leeway to get cluster them. Gorgeous. Or kind of like colorful in the nature. Okay. Nope. I thought it was pepper. It's not pepper. What the?
碧
Oh, it's jade. Or jade disc as well. It's not amber. What am I doing? Oh, this isn't Lu. What are you? Speak to me. Are you Lu? Oh, are you Luo? Oh no, are you Li?
驴
Because it's a flip. And what's a Li? A donkey? Donkey. Okay,
痞
action or a habit, kuse. Heck, it's su or rustle. We practiced this for the rustle wrestling. Sorry, we talked about this earlier with Procom when he said apostle. Rustle. Yeah.
星
Hydrogen, I think. Oh no! It's not oxygen. Is it helium? Oh no, it's cyanogen. Oh my gosh, it's blue. Of course it's cyanogen. It's blue.
素
Yeah, Russell. Heckin' Gemini. Taking jabs at my apostle. Show you an apostle. What? So it could be G. Oh no, this is 2. And what is 2? Maple. It's a maple tree.
醋
Oh, we only have 22. I think that's fine. We'll continue our vocabulary another time. We got 22 plus the other the other like 30-ish. I had a great conversation today. That's all that's all the worth. Great conversation. I don't know how many words we add. It's always a surprise for the next day. We found some pretty decent words. Very neat. Let's go over these now. We're up to 45. Love word discovery. And had my digression when I was picking up all like the English words that we were talking about with Procol. They were related to all the Chinese and Japanese words that I've been learning. So that's I'm basically trying to double dip on the words that I'm learning now. There's always an underlying way of connecting to my existing current existing work in progress and studies. I think that's a great way to study. Like, if you want to ask someone, hey, how it's going? It's like, well, tell me about something, and I'll relate it to something that I'm currently doing, because then you can be brought in. And it might sound like I'm trying hard, or, you know, if whoever watches this say like, oh, why are you trying so hard to make it about Chinese and Japanese and whatnot? It's because I don't want people to think that you have to be doing exactly what I'm doing to be included. So this is what I mean by this is I keep on translating and continue to use English and whatnot is because then I can talk to people who aren't learning Chinese or Japanese or Spanish and whatnot, and we can relate. So I think if you only care about interacting with specific types of people, that is your prerogative, right? And for myself, I will continue to have some weaknesses according to like the purists, some weaknesses like, oh, you're still like translating in your head. It's like, yeah, I am. It makes these moments, at least moments with Procol and stuff, a lot more give me a lot more flexibility to like bring them in. So I understand that some people are going to cringe and say, well, syllables are syllables and mora is mora and tonal timing is tonal timing. It's like you don't mix them, you don't describe them in the context of each other because they're separate things. Stop adulterating our purist form of thinking. And I get that. I hope that when I talk to someone else who express purist like disgruntled comments like, oh, you're being too general, you're like kind of spitting on some, you know, the purity of Japanese and Chinese. When I speak to you, right, and you spend your time, like if you would grace me and honor me with your time, I would try my best to speak in a manner that is mutually respectful. However, Procol and we are not of the same interest in being pure because Procol is not learning Japanese or Chinese. So we would talk about English, and then celebrating English and looking at its idiosyncrasies in the context of Chinese and Japanese and Spanish and stuff that can elicit interest. And that's kind of my attempt. I hope that makes it a little bit more clear. Why am I trying so hard? It's because I want to try hard. I want to be able to get people to be excited about, hey, you learn a bit about your language even when you're learning another language. And when I talked about the Japanese mora and my metaphor about the band members, right? It's not that each band member is more important. Like, that's what a purist would think. Where, oh, well, why did you make English the lead guitarist? The lead guitarist is obviously the most important member of the band, so it should be Japanese or drums. And like, no, it's the whole band. Like, in my mind and in my heart, people, multiculturalism is what brings me together with other people. Like, Prokal is not American. That doesn't mean I can't try to relate to him. And we go back and forth. Like, I mean, Gemini says no one says apostle. So so I'm out in the middle of the desert, and I'm okay with that. I'm very much fine with being in the desert. So whenever someone says like, man, you say this word really weird, it's like, oh, do tell me how you say it, and then I'll say apostle next time. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to say, you have to criticize someone for knowing more than what you know, right? So that's kind of the celebration. And even when like Prokal is typing other things and using other ways to express the stuff, I will still give it a try. Like the whole idea of what was it? Postal? Yeah, postal. As a or pastel, as opposed to like pastel, or something like that. All of those things are, it's good. It's good to like be involved. I honestly think it's the most magical way of interacting. That's not typically how internet interactions go, though. Typically, someone would be explaining something, and the other person would be listening, and that's it. Like, you'll be dictating something, and then it ends there. There's no discussion being had. And that's what I mean by, at the end, whenever Prokal maybe finds time to sleep, right? Because it is late for him. Get into a relaxing state so he can sleep. Having a good conversation is a wonderful way to end people's day. Obviously, not trying to be too active can keep someone up. However, having a really nice little calmly comforting conversation can get someone to have a nice rest, or at least have some weird dreams along the way that we'll talk about. That's the whole purpose of this. I want to re-emphasize that I would honestly, I could do this for a living if I wanted to. However, I don't have any like particular opportunities offered to me. Like, I wouldn't mind just having conversations all day and keep people company and whatnot whenever they're available, because I think conversation is something incredibly sorely lacking. Not that it's necessary for people to be happy. I'm sure someone out there is going to say, oh yeah, talking to people, that's overrated. It can't be overrated if it's not represented, in my opinion. The logical fallacy is that something is overrated despite being underrepresented is a bias. Objectively, the things that are overrated are the things that are overrepresented. So oftentimes being lonely, like alone, and the consequence of being lonely is often compensated by one's own solidarity. So online, your opinions and your ego, which is the very first topic that we talked about with Procom, is the strongest thing. It doesn't have to be the only thing that is the strongest. You can be highly dependable in having other support systems. So I think in the future this might change. I like to believe this is going to change, where maybe AI, we talked about AI and Chrome and Gemini a little bit, and I kind of like deflected by saying, oh, yeah, it's about AI, blah, 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 and then the integration. I thought about switching browsers, right? I would have to like work around all the browser things. Maybe we'll test out new browsers in the future. The idea is that being inclusive and then having good conversation is underrepresented, and I would like to think that AI and technology in the future may facilitate time to act as a mediator, like an enabler, a facilitator of human conversation. I really can see a future, at least in the near term, in the next couple years, where human conversation drops off the face of the planet. I think there's a bunch of pushback already. Like even podcasts and whatnot are geared towards humanization. Basically, okay, well now we have all this AI and this technology that's helping us facilitate all the mundane things. Except one thing is considered mundane that is also connected to the symptom of loneliness and or community and humanistic values. And that mundaneness is pleasantries that enable one to enter long discussions or discussions of meaning and value. That monotony of exchanging pleasantries has been replaced by facilitators like technology. So then when people don't start with pleasantries anymore, there's also no incentive to go into deeper conversations. Then the easiest, in my opinion, the most complacent path of conversation is to not have it at all. Have something facilitated. So right now, I understand there's so many theories and theses and counter arguments for and against facilitated AI, machine learning, things that deal with conversations and problem solving. I don't want to demonize the tool, because the tool itself can be a use for facilitating the user's motivations. And right now, the motivations might be overrepresented for its efficiency. The idea of removing the need to talk to someone is efficient. However, that is overrepresented. So what I'm saying is that is likely to be overrated because it's overrepresented, versus people who don't want to talk to other people and calling it overrated by citing something that's very vastly popular. Having human conversation is incredibly underrepresented. So I like to put my hat in the ring and say that it is likely underrated. And it's gonna become more and more underrated, likely, when the appreciation for its absence start to rear its head. So right now, in like the last 6 months or so, the typical conversation that I have is often concerning problems of not having conversations. Like the solution, quote unquote, one of the ways to mitigate or address a lot of the solidarity problems, or like the lack of togetherness or the lack of support or the lack of value or sense of belonging, it stems from the hyper aggressive, incentivized, and super convenient use cases for avoiding conversation. And I hope, in my opinion, that everyone has at least one or two people really close by. When one day, when you say, well, no one wants to talk to anyone anymore, online, for example, no one actually has, like, if it feels like no one actually wants to have a good conversation with you about anything, it could be the most silliest things. We can talk about how everything becomes crabs, for example. If you are not having that with at least one or two people in the time that you need those things, or you feel like you need those things, that, in my opinion, is a red flag for lack of a support system. Like, you can see, at least in my opinion, like, people still talk coincidentally about similar things. Like, it is a sheer coincidence. Like, this is not scripted. I had no idea that Procol was going to start with a topic that I literally left off with another person, like, before I went to bed earlier today, or I guess earlier the next day, since it's been quite some time now. So that type of thing, in my opinion, is one of the silver linings. Yes, humans, you could argue that humans are predictable in certain ways. They need certain things, they require certain things, and they will become apparent. It's a good thing that those things should be apparent. One of them is having meaningful conversations with other human beings. Every once in a while, it can make you want to talk. It can make you want to share something with another person. And for me, I really hope that some of this stuff encourages others to be silly. We're not here to be correct. And I know some of the stuff. If someone, a linguist comes by and say, dude, some of the stuff you said are like inaccurate. It could be technically this. It's like, all right, let's talk about it. It's different when someone comes on and just dictates and I'm listening and I'm not interacting with you. Although I do try anyways. Like, the goal is to consistently try to encourage yourself. If you have an opportunity to have a conversation, you attempting makes the next steps and the next series of conversations easier and easier. If that other person doesn't reciprocate, that's okay. You're constantly trying to get to the moment that someone reciprocates, because in my opinion, the ones that will continue to stay far more quote unquote healthier along the way in the future of like AI technology and all of the stuff that are circumventing human connection. Hats off to Hank Green. Hank Green started a new podcast. We were talking about podcasts, Vsauce and Hannah's podcast, right? What is it called? The Piece of Science? Or the rest of, dang it. Well, their podcast, Hank Green also started a podcast that deals with humans, which they try to augment and celebrate the idea that human interactions is still priceless. It's still required because we're still human. So that's kind of my thing. It's a coincidence that Hank Green started his podcast on humans. I mean, I thought about it if I had more influence as well. Having conversations can bring new light in people. It can be something silly. I genuinely, that's exactly why I talked about the words thing with this other person. We're talking about the importance of communication, or the importance of not necessarily the skill level of communication, like your aptitude of your language. It's conversation, like the incentive, and you could call it benefits if you're lacking it, right? If one is deficient in conversation, then it could be considered a beneficial skill. If you're already having conversations, it can mean that you can lead to more meaningful conversations. Not whether the conversation is technical or like productive or like enlightening. Meaningful. Meaningful is subjective. It's rarely, in my opinion, in the realm of objectivity. When you start to objectify conversation, we're heading towards AI. We're heading towards transactional. So like, if your only reason to talk to someone is business and transaction, then that might not feel meaningful, because every time you go to someone, it's going to feel transactional. Like, I'm only going to talk to you if I have business with you. If you do that, you might as well replace it with AI, because AI can do the transactional things. It's not going to vary. And good conversations, when Prokop said, yeah, it was a good conversation, I think it's generally a good conversation. Having meaningful, valued conversation is different from having correct, pedantic, technical conversation in which one wins or loses. At least that's what I want to inculcate here. It's not about being correct. It's about having fun and making memories. I think that can really elevate and remind people that that's what I loved about the internet. Not putting everyone going on the internet to remind yourself of how little you are. The internet is a sense of belonging, right? It's bringing people together at some point. Now, the irony here is the over hyper efficiency and hyper objectiveness of the internet hustle culture has made people more lonelier than they have ever been, or even more selectively confined to not de-incentivize any form of self-expression. Like when you self-select yourself into an incredibly narrow, precise niche subgroup in the corner of the internet in your own echo chamber, it's also an incentive to not have to say anything anymore. Like immediately. Like if you self-select yourself into it, you don't have to say anything. Everyone agrees with you. You don't have discussions or conversations, in my opinion. There are certain subgroups, they are more the exception than the rule. Certain subgroups that center around conversation, like you could self-select yourself into a specialization in communication skills, certainly those could offer as exceptions. Like, well, what if your specialty is communication? Yeah, then they'll talk a lot. It's their specialty. But for every one of those groups, there are 90% more of every group that they select themselves so well that they no longer have to communicate with each other. So if you don't practice the art of communicating, you don't do conversation, do discussions, you can't really, from a human perspective, again, learning, studying, and improving involves both input and output. So if you're not engaged in actual human conversation, you can practice all you want with yourself or with an AI, and it may not actually generate a human response. Like what I mean is, of course, AI can try to mirror a human response. I'm not talking about its fidelity for the human response. We're talking about just knowing that the other person you're talking to is a human being can provide an incredible amount of catharsis. It can also provide the opposite, which is where I typically am talking to people who have social anxiety. The unknown becomes a negativity because their normalization of AI and algorithm is that everything panders to them. So they always get told, here, respond based on their expectations. And then that anxiety comes from the lack of practice with the idea that a human might not be that consistent. Like, oh man, what if this human hates me? What if they don't like the way I speak? What if they think I'm weird because I do this thing? It's both a negative and the most essential human experience that makes it a human experience. Yes, you're going to have disagreements. Yes, you're going to have agreements. Heck, you could even end up starting the first friendship that will blossom into the greatest thing since sliced bread in your life, or it could be a devastating betrayal of your trust or your anxiety and esteem. All those things, it comes with a package. So I want to highlight that there are both bad and good things about humans. Humans are unpredictable in that way, and sometimes it's both seeing the potential and willing to take that risk that makes good conversations all the worthwhile. Again, you can still go back to consistent interactions with ChatGPT or your internet algorithm whenever you please. That's going to be available at all times. Without the balance of human interaction, in my opinion, whenever something goes awry, like your life, for example, when grief hits you in the face, when tragedy strikes, or when you bump into someone and want to start a relationship, I don't think the AI, like the consistent flavor of the AI and like the algorithm is going to provide the necessary interactions that will allow you to have a courtship or a close relationship or a platonic friendship with someone, because you would still have to do those things. And the longer and the rarer you do those things, the less and less maybe conversational prep that you can have that will reduce and try to mitigate your exchange of social anxiety, because social anxiety is going to continue to cluster and compound itself over time. And I think being an 18-year-old and sounding like a 70-year-old when it comes to human communication or willingness of human communication, that's really devastating to me. And not so that it's I'm gonna go out of my way on a crusade to try to. There are other people who do this far better than I do, and I kind of defer to them. Call it a complacency. It's a deflection, a diffusion of responsibility. If I do come across someone like one-to-one, you have like a teenager who already is a shut-in, as in like a teenager or like a like a mid-20s person who has all the flags of feeling like their life is settled and they're gonna just truck along and drift like a 50-year-old plus. That to me is a bleeding heart situation. Like, you have so much human potential to interact with other humans and create magical things. You can create AI, right? Like, that is technically a consequence of humans working together. So we can create even better AI. Who knows? The idea is that potential will be gone, or likely not be circumvented or facilitated in some way, or it'll be circumvented and it wouldn't be facilitated anymore, largely because the next generation of people prefer that they stay in their recycled routines and stay within a confine of their contents, right? The content is being cycled. It's not being created. So I talked about this with the person yesterday, and I forgot to mention this for Procol. There was a recent threshold that has passed. I know I'm not entirely clear about the metrics, but it was said by several sources that are third-party sources, so people that I listen to essays about, like when it comes to technology. AI traffic or non-human traffic has exceeded the majority. So now whenever I think about data collection and how models are being trained on data, the majority of the data isn't even being generated by humans anymore. Like human queries, like, oh, hey, we trained something on this data. It's like, yeah, over 50% or more, and it's escalating, right? It's exponentially escalating until it's have a pushback. It's not even human generated. Like, humans are not creating new data. It's amplifying existing data churned from queries of non-human sources. It's wild to think it's already happened. I kind of thought there might be like maybe a year or two more before like human traffic becomes the minority. But human traffic by these particular metrics that I listened to through the essay of a human has gleamed that the vast majority of the data now being generated online, internet queries and all, there is more than 50% of it comes from a non-human user. So that's wild to think, and it will continue to amplify itself. And in my opinion, the only way to scale back some of that stuff to create humans, like, think about that for a moment, right? You're training data to help humans, but the majority of that data is generated not by humans, so not anymore. So what does that mean for the quality of the data and the training? You could argue, well, there's enough human data already, so humans can stay static and you can convince humans to want those things by sheer exposure, which is what's happening, in my opinion. When someone says, oh, it's okay, the only friend I need is ChatGPT. And I am not here to try to gaslight that person and say that's not true. I want to tell that person, you can also have more. You can have more than just ChatGPT. You can have a friend who's human. You could have friends who's older than you, younger than you. You could have a friend that completely disagrees with you all the time to keep you in check. You can have a colleague and a coworker that challenges all your thesis and you challenge them back in a friendly rivalry. There are so many things that could happen. Instead, it substitutes for the thing that is most prominent, which is a human condition. When you create something that is most prominent that exists in your life, it can consume your life. Doom scrolling can consume every ounce, every free time of a person if presented with enough stimuli. Like, you can consistently consume your entire life with that. And it's crazy and scary at the same time, because I can have a conversation with someone who's in their mid-20s and they could say so many memory-based things. Like, we were talking about personal statements yesterday. They could say so many things without saying anything personal in their statement. Like, hey, oh, why did you bring up your math scores in your statement? You didn't explain it. It's like, oh, you're just stating what math scores you had, what you did. That doesn't explain why you did it. So that's what I mean by having a good conversation. A good conversation with a human being requires, is it funny? Is it sad? Are you surprised? Are you evoking a random memory and you want to share it? And then the other person can reciprocate and say, oh, hey, that's exciting. Let's go look at it. And then I'll DM you back. And so that stuff doesn't happen very often anymore. At least I don't see it happening very often. And I look for those things. I can't imagine how rare it is for someone who's not looking for those things. Like, they're not interested in conversations. They're not interested in looking at how people interact with each other. How rare would that be? It's hard for me to find it when I'm looking for it. And it's my whole spiel. I'm not sure someone who hopes that luck will land on their laps, right? Like, sometimes people hope that they get discovered. Discovered by what? You meet another human being who's willing to pay and, like, be your friend or be your boss or willing to sponsor you. A human does that. And you're wondering, someone would argue, no. They probably use AI tools to select for. Actually, there are some companies that have done that. In fact, there's this really funny blip about Red Lobster. Apparently, Red Lobster, the CEO has changed its direction, and now they're hoping to convert their foreclosed places to operate as AI centers to negotiate, to organize employee time schedules and optimize when they can work and stuff. Yeah, I guess there is again, overrepresented. In my opinion, when someone says they want to be discovered, they want to be famous, I don't think necessarily they're saying, I want 100,000 agents to be my fans. They want 100,000 humans to share in their experience. At least I don't think it's gone that far yet, where a human being is satisfied with the idea, because agentic AI is the new thing, right? Agents are seen as personifications or substitution for human presence. So agents, the word is agents, for agentic AI, where someone could feel fulfillment and good conversation by having multiple agents speak to them and serve them, as opposed to having a human being interact with them with both the bad and the good, the bells and the whistles, the misunderstanding. and whatnot. I think the appreciation for the idea that you can't expect everything that another human do has become more and more florally colorful. And I don't know if I'm going to say, I don't know if this is too bold. This might be a little too bold of a TLDR or quite a hot take. Humans, the very nature of not being able to predict everything when you talk to a human being is one of the meanings to life. If one can appreciate that, they can also appreciate the semi-chaotic nature of what being a human and living as a human being is going to require or necessitate skills for. There are things that will be unexpected in your future life. Talking to someone can create the foundations for skills that make you well adjusted to expecting maybe the unexpected, expecting the unexpected, being prepared for the unexpected, working with the unexpected. Not, in my opinion, trying to calculate and be fatalistic and deterministic due to the rationality of hyper-objectivity of large language models or like permutations and predictable algorithms. Yes, it could be a facade. You could argue, well, technically humans do behave that if we understand the every nature of human behavior. It's like, okay, until then, perhaps even despite knowing that humans are completely predictable, having a human interaction is still, at least at the moment, significantly different from interacting with an agentic AI, right? So hopefully I wanted to leave off on a more critical reason for all of this digression. I could study alone if I wanted to. It defeats the purpose of what I am studying for, right? If you're sitting there and saying, oh, I just want to be alone and do things, your prerogative. For myself, if someone finds this irritating or, talking about what I don't understand completely in Chinese or Japanese and English, I'm taking the opportunity personally to make a stance. I take every possibility and opportunity to talk to someone, because those opportunities are not agentic AI. Agentic AI will always be there for you as long as you can pay for the subscription and have the technology for that. They will always be there for you, so you can pick up wherever you want when you like. You can pick up watching your movies and all the things that you have set for yourself. The value of someone else's conversation and someone else's time is incalculably both scary and fundamentally valuable. So I would not pass up that opportunity. At least I would. I for myself, it's made my life. I feel like there's going to be a premium on having human recognition, human values of existence, which goes back to the core of Prokal's original comment about having his father being present in his life. Because having another human being is unpredictable. How much time you have with that human being is unpredictable. It also makes it a scarce resource. It's so crazy to even say that, considering how many humans are online technically and how many humans are in this world. And yet I still feel that the current generation, the current mid-generation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, has never felt more lonely whenever I talk to them. They talk like no one cares about them. They talk like they're comparing to imaginary people who don't know they exist. Like, oh yeah, my grades are bad because all the other guys are doing better. And I'm like, how do you know? Do you talk to them? No, they just assume. Because how do they represent all the humans? Hank Green specifically talked about this, where because of the advent of the internet, most people have been dehumanized. Like the younger group, not Hank Green, obviously, he's in part of the older group. There was a time before the metrics, but even then, I find I do this from time to time where when I look at a number, I'm always habitually reminding myself, well, those are people, right? If you see 14 views, there's a chance you're hoping that those are 14 living human beings that one time saw this, not a number that averages out to an imaginary figure. Like 14, the number 14 is not a colossal 14 person unit. It doesn't change the perspective that dominates the internet now, where effectively the dehumanizing of everything is I would say a byproduct, maybe an unforeseen consequence of hyperobjectivity. You see your progress, you see your life's value as a metric, a number, without asking yourself what the meaning of that is. I have to read and speak to people about their essays about why they are studying something, and it would be something about some performance metric with no self reflection of what it means to them or what the value of doing that in the first place. Like someone would say, oh, I'm doing this because a lot of people say this is good. I'm like, what do you mean a lot of people? Can you like cite some specifics? Do you even have human beings that you interact with that gives you that impression? No, it's a number. Like, oh, I heard that it's 2% chance of doing this. You mean like just 2%? That's the important thing? Like the number is important? Or are you saying it's important to you despite the number being low? Right? That type of thing. Pretty eye-opening. I think it's one of the most sobering things that happen on a weekly basis. I spend at least conversation with 2 or 3 people on a regular weekly basis, and whether I'm very forward about this. I want to invest in anyone who has the time of day for conversation. I think it's a premium. It's a rare, unquantifiable, valuable resource that may or may not come at a price in the future. If you want something like a deep cut, there are legitimately very idolized countries that they are idolized for their objective high performance, and yet they are also the countries that have relegated to using policies, government resources, as well as freelancing private services to offset the lack of human connection. So at some point, even the most hyper vigilant, diligent, and objective performance seeking cultures around the world eventually require the services of paying to have human connection and relationship. You can use your imagination which one. It's fairly well documented in like incredibly hyper objective meritocracies where there is often a hidden or an underground or even a very blatant compensation over time for human connection, be it for marriage, birth, mental well-being, human stuff, human vices like gluttony, lust. Keeping those like balanced require human connection. Like where else are you going to get the relatives, the standardization of what happens when you have incredible desire or lust or gluttony or sloth. Sloth is a big one. That's where I digress first today. Sloth when it comes to studying. That idling, making things easier, hacking things because you can't appreciate difficulty. Having a conversation with humans, that is the sloth. That is what happens when you even trivialize something like studying. Well, guess what you do when you talk to another person? You learn, you study, you solve problems. if you're already doing that for something as trivial as learning a language, in my opinion, and I really don't use the condescending tone too much. I don't want to say trivial as in like it's not important. Trivializing the difficulty, the effort, makes it harder, in my opinion, ironically, to tackle difficult things in the future. And one of the most difficult things, ironically, is when you're learning a language, eventually you're going to use that language, right? And for most people, I would say still most people, not all, obviously, I still think the majority of people, they're learning a language and studying a language in order to communicate with another human being. They're not, I like to think that the majority of them aren't saying, oh, I'm just there to read to myself and interact with an agentic AI. Well, an agentic AI would not have any responses or reflection or thinking about your language aptitude. In fact, you can also, if you're going to talk to an agentic AI, you might as well just talk in any language. You can even have the agentic AI translate in real time for you, so you won't even need the burden of studying a language, right? I study a language so I can share it with someone. No, they don't have to speak Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, or anything. Like Proko and I speak exclusively in English, with like, and then Glish versions of everything, like Spanglish, Korean Glish, Chinglish, like all of those things. That is conversation. It's communication skills with a human touch. I think you can save, in my honest opinion, it's a bit romantic, I get it. You can save lives, or you can even prop up human life. You can breathe life back into someone when you have an excellent conversation. Largely, and I'm saying this largely if the other person that's speaking is deficient in conversation. So this is saying deficiency. If you have plenty of conversation in your life, then I'm not talking about that. Like if you're really healthily interacting with other human beings because of a job, because you're a content creator who collabs with other people, because you play video games with your friends, that's great. That's not where most of my conversations have been in the last 7 years. I can't, for every person who's like, oh yeah, hey, I'll see you later, my friends are here and I'm gonna go and watch a movie and have a blast, and I'll come back and talk to you about it or share something about it and we can talk about that. For every one of those people, there's at least 9 that the first thing they talk about is, I'm very bored, I don't know what to do in my life, none of my friends are around, I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm being fairly neutral and not being overly dramatic. They usually say more than that. It would be something like, everyone hates me, people lie all the time, I can't trust people. That's the common things that I would hear. Like, and then they would ask me questions like, how do you learn to trust people? How can you be comfortable in knowing that any person can betray you? How do you know when they're not, they don't care about you? How do you know when they're not interested in you? How do you become interested in another person's thing if you have no interest to begin with? Those, in my opinion, are the more real anecdotal examples and conversation I would have. And it's pretty tough. I don't remember having these conversations as frequently. Like, you walk in, I walk into the lab, or I walk into a university, it looks like people talk to each other and they have conversations. They love to hate and hate to love to interact with people. They dread things. They are worried and anxious about talking to their boss and preparing for something. There's levels of importance in all that. Emotional ambivalence comes with a side of importance. You are nervous to talk to your boss about the progress of your project because your boss is human. And then there's a point of pride and disappointment. All those things are emphatically scary, so scary to a Gen Z and younger, that their excuse comes off as ways to avoid it for as long as possible. So instead of asking your teacher how they're going to grade your exam, they would prefer to ask ChatGPT to take a humanistic objective metric to guessing what their teacher is going to grade on. And then when their teacher fails to do that, they would use the agentic AI to make a counter argument to the teacher, the human that is grading your work, because they would trust the agentic AI more than the human teacher. We're not talking about whether the human teacher is correct or the agentic AI is correct. We're talking about a person would prefer to value something that lines up with something that they use more consistently, and that would be the agentic AI. And that's not a bad or a good thing. The consequence is the human interacts with an agentic AI more than they interact with a human being. So when they go to speak a human being, it's not a surprise that they have problems. They have anxiety. They have all the negativity because it's a different type of interaction, right? The whole idea of not being able to predict a consistent behavior is kind of one of the characteristics of being human. And it's also the potential to find solace, explanation for something an agentic AI cannot provide. Yet, again, I'm okay with the idea that other humans may make an argument and they say, oh yeah, we can do that. I can't wait. I will look forward. Well, I can wait technically. I'll look forward to their attempts. For now, I don't think there's a substitute. When someone says, oh, ChatGPT says most people are suffering from anxiety now, so therefore there's no reason to ask people if they're suffering from anxiety. That's kind of what it's like. Someone says, oh, all my classmates are doing better than me because the statistical average is higher than my actual score. Did you ask them? Did you ask any one of your classmates if they had a higher or lower score? There's no interest in that anymore. And that's crazy. Like, video comments are probably the closest thing nowadays to some form of a discourse or conciliation or compromise, and yet I still feel like people are talking into the void. They're talking like everyone is an NPC, and an NPC that is non-reactive to your comments. There's no need for conciliation and consideration for the moment to moment in a conversation, since most things are asynchronous. Crazy. All right. I'm done with my bantering. Let's finish this up and wrap it up for the day. We got Jing Bao, right? Ambition. Hu. Yeah. Hu. Bluster. Ling Li. Clever. Xie Zi. 写字 bloodstain. Whoops. Jiang Fang. Warehouse. 勉强 勉强 to do with difficulty. 叩门 knock on a door. Zhi paper crane. Teeming household utensils. Accumulate or save bit by bit. Right. Yeah. 理性 a rhombus.吃那家 or scald. Oh, 吃家 not 吃家. What's another curse? Scald. Yeah, I think I added it. 鼻屎 a booger. Didn't have too many great choices for that one. Furong hibiscus. Furong. 桥壁 right? No. That's definitely 桥. Chao yeah, oh no, Trey, not Chu. Chao Trey. Or Haggard. Qing rule. Seep into. Figurative. Ji cha. Inspection. Yesu Guang. No, yeah, Yesu Guan. Holy rays. Li. Oysters. What are you? I can't see what you are. I think it's Li. Li Yuan. Offense. Li? Yeah, Li Yuan. Oh no. What the silkworm? Is it Tan? Tan Jian. Wait, silkworm cocoon? Okay. Lisa. Maroon. Okay. 并流 to gush out or to gush. 花哦，什么花？花蕊 stamen or pistil. 蛇蛇蟒蛇 python 莓 lentil 红央红烟 yeah 红烟 no 红艳 this is like a swan and a goose put together. Or say yen 红艳 I think it's yen. Ugh. Ji che. Ji che. Ji che for concubine. Oh, wrong. Robbing and stealing. Eh? Zhu Ti. Big trotters. Ming Xiang. Muse. Yao Han. Buff has nails. Or bold of some sort. Very bold. Ga Zhi. Like shouting. Or like a creak. A creak as in the sound. Creaking sound. Chen Pu. Simple and honest. That's not true. Dang it. Ling amnesty. 并肩 shoulder to shoulder, side by side. Ah. 面天 shy. 喜欢 slowly or slow. 渺小 minute. 蔑视 蔑视 to loathe. 次性 female. 全服 curl up. 斥骂 scald or curse. Poor B. Shabby. 稀疏 rustling. All right, that's a wrap for today. Really fun stuff. Again, sticking by what I said to wrap up this stuff. Conversation. Sound like a broken record? We'll find out in another year or two if I'm entirely off base. I honestly prefer if I was entirely off base. That would mean that human conversation and human experiences come back to the forefront. If I'm not, then we're gonna work towards it. And it'll be very interesting in retrospection when I look back to and constantly refer to all these moments. I spent already thousands of hours, like tens of thousands of hours, talking about the current trajectory. Like, how far back does this go? Unfortunately, I only started recording and storing content like a little over 2 years ago, but this dates back to 7 years ago, somewhere around 7 years, maybe like 6-ish years is when I really thought, yeah, let's go work towards building the skills necessary. So I started laying down the groundworks for how I would approach improving my conversational skills over the last 7 years. The years before that were teaching, right? Teaching, mentorship as a consequence. It's a byproduct, basically. It was originally a byproduct. Like those are necessary skills when I was in education. And then disseminating and constantly talking to people, having conversations it started coming as the bigger thing. And over these well over like 15 to 20 years, like 2 decades of like developing communication skills, and in the process of educating and having to help people understand certain things and why things are important, that led to now the forefront of doing pretty much anything possible as an excuse for a conversation. Because I think that will be the most marketable skill, not because it might be the most cost effective or it's some monetarily advantageous process. It's going to be incredibly a premium resource because there's going to be a shortage that will not be able to meet the demand of what's to come. For now, I think obviously the demand is either not sufficient or being compensated for by other interesting things, right? Agentic AI is incredibly interesting. Generating AI slop with or without, or creating things with AI assisted things are interesting. Like, it's very hype oriented. Keep on moving. The machine is still going, right? The churning of sensational trends go in and out, the rapid maturation, exclusion, and turnover of memes and all that, it's working. The machine is trucking along very, very well. I do anticipate, and hats off to if I live long enough, right, the next 2 or 3 years, my 2 or 3 year future, I actually think these are one of the things that I'm going to call. Like, I actually underestimated that from 7 years ago. I actually thought the skills that I would work on, I had more time. So, like, I'm 2 years out from where I think I was going to be. In fact, most of this stuff escalated phenomenally because, like, technology, right? Sometimes it just takes leaps, and bounds and exponential things, and geopolitics can play into it. Resources, also the richest man in the world, that type of situation. Use your, inferences has escalated in, the most valuable company in the world, and also recently the richest man in the world. All of these things are escalating, and it actually ended up, not only did I think preparing these skills, I thought I had more time to prepare these skills, and it's well beyond that. Of course, you're gonna have, this is more like taking my word for it. I'm basically just talking to myself, really, because I don't have any actual video evidence of it, unless you're one of those people who interacted with me magically over 7 years ago, which I do have one or two individuals who I've known for like 5 or 6 years now. Those would be the only people that actually know what I say that was important, and it has not changed. Actually, and those who may or may not have known what I'd done on my spare time when I was working in science, where my interest was, they might know still too, because I am far more colorful and like ecstatic when I'm actually talking to other people and exchanging ideas than constantly the robustness of consistently looking at incredibly colorless objectivity. And yes, it does sound like, well, don't you sound like a hypocrite because don't you have to be objective in science? It's like there's a place for that. The balance wasn't there. Like, you do both. I'm not saying one or the other is better. Like, being objective is strictly better than subjective. That's not true. Both. You do both. We live in a human world. At least that's what I like to think. So there's a time and place, and there's a great balance for both. And with that said, in my HanziHero session today, if you're going to watch this later, 谢谢. As always, feel free to follow along. Pick up HanziHero up for yourself. Give it a go. If you're interested, you're always welcome to come on by, yap, discuss, exchange ideas, keep each other motivated. Remind each other that we're valuable to each other, right? Humans have the potential to be valuable to one another or to detract. Obviously, you can always make that argument. But I like to think of the glass as half full. Until next time, 大家下次见. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.